Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
We need to find someone in one of those towns because I don't believe Lucky Star has been to Cannawigara or to Mundalla, but you have, Rob. So tell us who we have on the telephone.
We've taken our regional roundup across the border into South Australia, back into the old.
We went to Port Lincoln a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, that's right, we did too. I spent 3 years of my life in a little place called Keith. And over there, I started my community radio journey. And
I'm glad you said journey instead of career.
When I left, we had a Two Blokes Chatting show, but it wasn't called that. It was called The Sporting Grill. And the co-host was the Mayor of Cannawigara, and he is our regional roundup this morning. And I'm going to be very careful to introduce Michael Hunt. Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show.
Welcome to Cannawigara, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's good to have you aboard. And
have we just tripled the population?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I can give you a traffic report. We had 2 traffics yesterday.
That sounds to me like it might have been used before that line. I may be wrong.
I would guarantee it has.
Everything. I'm a dad. Everything's recycled.
Yeah, excellent. That's what we like.
Now, Michael, I've just noticed on Facebook that, like for us 2 or 3 weeks ago when we had a 6.9 earthquake shake up Geelong and District, the earth moved for you last night as well.
Yeah, well, Colleen my wife thought I'd just changed Note's snoring, but there was a bit of a rattle at 3:20 apparently. We didn't hear it or see it, or feel it. But apparently quite a lot of people had windows rattling and things jiggling around on benches and stuff. So, yeah.
I'll still be talking about that next month. It's the most exciting thing that's happening in your part of the world for years, I would have thought.
Probably, yeah. We're actually looking out for locusts now. We're just worried the next plague's coming.
Do you get the locusts come through there? I know that further to the east, over in the Mallee, the locusts and mice are the really big plagues.
I think they run out of puff by the time they get here. You see a few, but not enough to hurt anything, no.
So what does someone who lives in Cannawigara, what does your standard Cannawigaran do for a living?
There's a fair few farmers here, but we're also 7 k's from Bordertown, our nearest town, so there's a lot of people involved in businesses in town, or the town is flourishing at the moment. It's got a meat works that employs 500 or 600 people, and a Blue Lake Milling, which processes oats for cereals, etc., that employs 200 or 300 people. So there's lots of work, and the on jobs from that. You know, there's lots of administration jobs and mechanics jobs, and the town is absolutely flourishing.
It is a lovely part of the world. There is a lot going on. It's not much different to sections over here once you spend a little bit of time there. It's just that unknown of learning the new language of South Australians was the biggest trouble I had, and I suppose you have the same trouble with Victorians, Michael?
Yeah, we don't go to the tool, and there's no R in... there's an R in Castle.
Yeah, and you can't buy peanut butter for love nor money, can you, over there? You've got to buy peanut paste or something, don't you?
Yeah, we do, yeah. And Fritz, we can't find Fritz in Victoria. It's bologna, which is... a lot of bologna comes up to Victoria.
Yeah,
particularly in this studio.
There's lots of weird things. The major part of the call, just to check on people's health and well-being around COVID, and South Australia have had little bits of it. The border's been shut pretty hard for a long period of time, which is the reason I haven't seen you for so long, Mick. But
that's what he says. He says he doesn't like you, really.
But how much of an effect has the international plague had on your community?
This side of the border, minimal. There's a lot of people that go into Victoria for, like, there's mechanics that go over the border. Lots of next door neighbours got farms either side of the border. So that's created a bit of fun. They're getting sore noses going through the border checks and getting tests for COVID all the time. But the biggest impact has been over the border in Victoria, because Bordertown is a lot of the business and the shopping is done in Bordertown, and for them it's been quite arduous to get over at times, and it's been really tough for the the ones just over the border. And, you know, in things like sport and work, there's a lot of people work here. At one stage, the police had set up their border checks at the Roadhouse in Bordertown, so people that were working in the town could actually come into the town with the other side of the border check, but it's back out at the border again now, so that makes it a bit tougher for everything too.
And is that a 24/7 arrangement? I know that for a while at the Murray River there were a couple of places where they only manned it between sort of 7 and 7, and people just thought, oh, if I'm going to cross the border, I'll wait till after dark. Is it 24/7?
It has been, yeah, because it's the main highway. There's police that have been living in the local pub's been rented out by police for the last 15, 18, whatever it is. Yeah, and they're out there all the time. They get to know people who are coming through all the time. So that's actually has got easier. But people like I know one couple. Their farm comes within 80 metres of the border. But they're actually going to retire now, and instead of retiring to Cannawigara, they're going to retire to Bordertown just because it's easier, and so it's not helping Cannawigara, and land prices and house prices in Bordertown are skyrocketing because there's people from Victoria just, you know, if they're going to move somewhere 30 k's in Victoria, well, they'll move 20 k's into South Australia instead, which is a bit sad for the Victorian country towns.
Who's providing the thin blue line? Is it South Australia Police or the Victorian Police or both?
It varies. At the moment it's probably South Australia, but there are times, it wasn't so long ago that it was Victorians. You know, we had a couple of cases and then the line jumps up from the other side, and that's probably state politics at its best, isn't it?
I hope we don't get to the stage where, you know, the Vics are stopping people on one side of the border and about 20 metres down the road you've got the South Australians doing the same thing. Nothing would surprise me.
Just take it in turns at the same spot.
Yeah.
Generally it's been South Australia. As you know, Victoria's cases are getting higher and are moving a bit closer, but probably another area that affects people is the roadhouses along the road. Like I talked to a lady at Tail and Bend Roadhouse, and because they had a truck stop there that had the driver had COVID, they had 8 staff in quarantine, and then all of a sudden school holidays, and they've got 8 staff that can't work, and so all those sort of things come into play. And then there's other people that don't go to any roadhouses; they just drive straight through to Adelaide, so there's a bit of money there not getting spent in the regions as well.
Yeah. Mick, I know you're very big on common sense, and over here we see a lot of things that are frustrating, but we don't have this border crossing issue. So from your point of view and those that you circulate with, and you've just had a footy season, so you see people quite often, is there a very high level of frustration at the stupidity of some decision making that could be fixed so easily just with a bit of calmness and common sense?
Yeah, certainly there was. I think it's actually as good as it's been for quite a while at the moment. You know, we've got the 70k border bubble. I don't know whether you heard over there was a lady in Mount Gambier that picked up the virus, and they're not sure where she got it, and she's not been terribly forthcoming where she got it, and that shut Mount Gambier down pretty quickly, but they soon opened it up, and the border bubble moved out to 70 k's again, which is quite workable. 20 or 30 k's is really, really hard for people because you just can't go about your own sort of your business when you're restricted. If you live 80 metres from the border and you can't go east or you can't go west, it's really tough. But a bit further away from the border, you've got a bit more room to move.
Well, in the Vic New South Wales situation now, they're allowing the border bubble to include Beloak, which comes down as far as Charlton. Like, that's halfway to Melbourne.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense, and particularly with towns like Mount Gambier, Narracoorte and Bordertown that have big industry, employ a lot of people, and there's clearly got to be cases of border crossing to get to and from work and to shop and live a normal life. A difficult thing to manage, but still, from some of the things I've heard, it's been really over the top.
Yeah, and we've got a girl that's just moved to this area. She's living in one of the farmhouses that we share farm on, and she was living in Casterton, but her livestock contracting business, it was just crippling her trying to get over the border to do stuff at Mount Shank and Narracoorte and stuff, so she's had to move here quite a bit further away from her work, but this is the only place she could find a farmhouse, and and she's in South Australia now and then can go about her business. It's much easier to go into Victoria and back than living in Victoria, coming into South Australia and going back.
Mick, we are running out of time. I just want to talk about the interesting sport. We've had our sport pretty well shut down. You got through a final series, your local team, Mundalla, premiers again, but one of the teams has traction in Victoria. How did that go with players coming across to play or not, depending on circumstances?
Well, we had 2 Victorian teams in the comp, and Kyvie Bolight's very close, but to being a Victorian team, they live right on the border as well. But Francis played in the KNTFL, our league, last year, and Ivor went over to the Newland Districts League, or I think it incorporates Stawell and Ararat as well, because they just couldn't get enough players from Adelaide to help. You know, they've got a lot of kids at college and uni in Adelaide and they couldn't get back. But Francis were border districts, they're called, and they were very generous. They said, look, we can't play this week. Just carry on without us. We did have 2 weeks where we didn't play, but there was another couple of weeks that we wouldn't have played if we had have done that, and they said, just carry on and we'll figure something out. And so they were very good about it, and it was really hard for them. And they were sitting 3rd or 4th at the time in the league, and they ended up finishing about 6th or 7th, purely because of that, even though we brought in a match ratio. And the medalists come from Francis, as it turned out, who had the same votes as 2 other people, but with match ratio he got over the line. So that was really nice for him. But they were very good, but it was a lot of toing and froing by our league executive, and they did a good job with the netball and football to keep it all happening.
Righto, mate, we've got to go. I've got to rush next door. I hope you'll be staying on. David Parkin will be my special guest very, very shortly, but good to chat with you again. Good to see things are functioning pretty well over there in SA. And Michael Hunt, the Mayor of Cannawigara, we thank you very much for your time this morning and best wishes.
Thank you, and I found the defibrillator after listening to the Wiggles song, so I think I'll be right.
Good on you, mate.
That's what we like to see.
All the best.